So now, last time we had a sort of introduction to Megillah 2, speaking about the general framework, the historical question. I want to go to the text with the limited time that we have. In the first chapter starts with an introduction, the statement of the time. When does this happen? It happened when the judges ruled. So apparently it happens in the time between the conquering of Eretz Israel by Yoshua and the period where the Zikenim or the heirs of Yoshua ruled. Then we have a period of Shoftim, judges. There's no king. It's a more local government. But there's a very general term, Rabbi Meshfot Shoftim. In the book of Shoftim, several times when the Tanakh mentions that phrase, it also mentions En Melech B'Yisrael Isha Yashar Be'elav Ta'aseh. There's no king. So it's interesting that at the time where there's no king, the name of the person who leaves Bethlehem to go to Moab, his name is Eli Melech. So that name connotes strength. Melech is king, and El in Hebrew, when it's with that nikud, means strength. So it's a king that shows strength. 1 second. Yep. Vishemi. So we're worried about a family who leaves Bethlehem to go to Moab. Now the Midrash says that they left because there was famine and they didn't. But we don't have a mention of that in the Megillah. What we do have is that he leaves the community, the people, and goes to a foreign land. That's for sure. It's something that happened. It's a migration, emigration. And what happens here? Vayelech ish mi Bethlehem Yehuda. Bethlehem, Bayit is solid. Yes.
I was going to say, it sounds like he has food, Rabbi.
Yeah, sounds like he has food. He comes from the Bethlehem, the house of bread, and he goes lagur bisdei Moab. He goes to be a sojourner in the fields of Moab. Sadeh is an open place. It doesn't grant the same security as a house. They come. The name of the man is Eli Melech. His wife is Naomi. Naomi means pleasant. She's pleasant. V'shem shnei banav Mahlon v'Chilion. Those are not names that anyone would want to give his children, because Mahala means disease, Kilion means annihilation. So this obviously, those two are symbolic names. And we'll find later on who was Mahlon and who was Chilion. Right now we don't know. When we find out that they marry local women, who married whom, but we'll find out towards the end of the Megillah. So the key words that I would want to look at this first chapter are the words of movement and motion. To go, to be, and to come. So we'll see later. We'll come back to Vayelech Ish, right? This man goes to Moab. V'shem Ish Elimelech. Okay, so now in Pasuk Bet, Vayavo Uzde Moab Vayusham. They came to Moab. Vayavo. They came into Moab. Vayihyu Sham. Vayihyu, the verb Haya here. Haya, they were there, meaning that their whole essence was there. They came to be sojourner, travelers, to stay temporarily, but they stayed for a much longer time. Vayamot Elimelech ish Naomi. So Elimelech, Naomi's husband, passed away, and she was left with her two children. So now she feels sort of abandoned. She's left over, Vatishael, or left behind. They marry Moabite women. One is called Orpah, the one is called Ruth. Orpah is a name that is easy for us to interpret symbolically, because it connects to the word oref, the back of the neck. It can either mean someone being stubborn, or when we say kasher oref, or that someone turns his back on you. Vayeshevu sham ke'eser shanim. They dwell in Moab. וימותו גם שניהם מחלון וכיליון, ותישאר האישה משנה ומאישה. And both of them, Mahlon and Chilion, died. The woman is left alone, bereft from her two children and her husband. So, it almost reminds us of the book of Eob that we reviewed previously. She's also in Eob. She loses her husband, she loses children. It's a very, very difficult situation for Naomi. ותקום היא וכלותיה, ותשוב משדה מואב, כי שמעה בשדה מואב, כי פקד אדוני את עמו לתת להם לחם. So she rose, she stood up with her daughters-in-law, and she started going back from Sede Moab because she heard that Hashem blessed his nation and gave them food. Note that it doesn't say Vatakomna Naomi v'chalotea, they arose together in the plural, but rather Vatakom hi, she is the one who took action. Also, Vatashov misde Moab, she is the one going back. Does it mean that she was the leader and they just followed her? Or does it mean something else? That she alone is the one who could come back from Sde Moab. Because to come back is to come back to a place where you belonged before, but they never belonged there. Could that be the meaning, the intention of the author of the Megillah? Let's see. So in Pasuk Zayin we read, "Vatetzeh min hamakom asher hayeta shama." She came out of the place where she was. See, in the word hayeta shama, she was there in essence. She became part of the place, but now she's leaving. And this is an act that takes a lot of courage. When we think about what Naomi did, why does the Torah, the Navi, why does it tell us vatakom vatetzeh? She rose, she had to get up, and she had to leave vatetzeh, she had to leave the place. Because that's not an easy journey.
She uprooted herself, no?
She uprooted herself already once. Now she's uprooting herself again. And she's going to go back to a place where everybody knows her. She knows
like the opposite of Abraham.
Yes.
The opposite of Abraham.
Right. The opposite of Abraham. It's a journey that she's going back to her roots. But what kind of a reception, what does she anticipate when she thinks of, okay, I'm going to come to Bethlehem, how will people welcome me? What does she have in mind? Imagine, she left with her husband and two children. She comes back and people say, where's your husband? And she have to say, he passed away. Where's Mahlon? He passed away. Where's Kilion? He passed away. Oh, now you're coming back. Now that even if they don't say that, even if they show her pity and mercy and love, whatever, it's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy situation to be in. It's almost, I would say, right now we don't see it. There's food in Eretz Israel, but it seems that she goes back to die in the place where she belongs. She doesn't want to be buried in a foreign land, and maybe she wants to run away from the land where she lost both her sons and her husband. So in any case, she gets up to go back to Bethlehem. Vatomer Naomi, here, so here's the pasuk, Vatetzeh min hamakom, and both her daughters-in-law are with her. Vatelachna baderech lashuv el Eretz Yehuda. This is a very dramatic scene. The author of the Megillah is really a master in putting this scene together, because in the same pasuk, in a very brief sentence, we read this: "Vatetzeh min hamakom asher hayta shama." She went forth out of the place where she was. Ushtei kalotei ima, she and her two daughters-in-law. Vatelachna badech, and they were walking on the road, on the path. Lashuv, to return, el Eretz Yehuda. So we have the starting point, min hamakom, and we have the destination, Eretz Yehuda. So we have a contained place. We know where you start, we know where you finish. But this scene that is going to take place now, the famous scene where Naomi argues with her daughters-in-law and says, please go back, takes place where? Vatelachna baderech. They are neither here nor there. They're in the middle. They're still traveling baderech, right? And the same verb that we read about Elimelech, vayelech, now they are vatelachna. And the author also tells us who is in this place. Naomi with her two daughters-in-law, and he describes the verb, but it says she had to really pull herself out of the place to uproot herself, like Israel said. ותאמר נעמי לשתי כלותיה, לכנה שובנה אישה לבית אימה. Naomi turns to her daughters-in-law and she says, Lechna, go, your halicha, you see, vatelachna, you are walking with me, but you're walking in the wrong direction. Lechna, go away from me. Shovna, also your Shiva, you think that you're returning to Yehuda. No, you should return to your mother's house. You don't belong with me. Ya'as Adonai imachem chesed kasher asitem im hamitim ve'im may Hashem show you. Okay, they translate loving kindness, but I think that here it means loyalty. Chesed in the primary significance in the Tanakh means loyalty. May Hashem be loyal to you, and therefore would repay you the way you did with me and with the. Probably she means that they stuck with her until now.
Rabbi, can you go back to the word telechna and
Yes.
explain the grammar of that a little more? Is
Vatelachna.
that a singular or a not a
No,
singular?
it's plural feminine. Vatelachna.
Because it's
It
lach.
doesn't.
Telach.
It's a strange conjugation. Doesn't exist in modern Hebrew because you also have the vav hipuch. Actually, you have to say in modern Hebrew, when you say about several women that they will go somewhere, people say hen yelchu, but really you have to say hen telachna. So when you reverse it with vav hipuch to the past, it becomes vatelachna, and they went. So, but anyway, we have vatelachna, and Naomi says lechna, go away, go, but in the other direction. Now note that let's read the whole. You know what? Let me read the whole thing. And let's pay attention to when she says lech, go, and when she says shuv, return, where to return to. So she says lechna, go, shovna, return, isha lebet ima, each one of you to her mother's house. They're not sisters, by the way. If you learn that they were sisters in the Midrash, they're not. Yes, Yoel.
I think it's such an interesting, the book is so female-centric. And here we have, instead of Isha Levet Aviha, we have Isha Levet Ima.
Yes.
Even in this detail, we have the women are in the forefront.
Right. But hold that thought, because it's exactly, I'm asking, where are they returning to? So in the next pasuk, Yiten Adonai lachem, may Hashem give you, umetzena menuha, and you will find rest, where? Isha bet Isha, each in her husband's house. Vatishak lahen, vatisena korana, vatifkena, she kissed them and they start crying. Vatisena, by the way, they raised their voice. Before we had this, vayisu lahem, they married foreign women. Naso, the same verb of nasa. Vatomarna la, and they now tell her, ki itach nashuv le'amech, with you we shall return to your nation. So they use the word return. We will return with you to your nation. Vatomer Naomi, she says, Shovna bnotai, return, my daughter. Lama telachna imi, why would you go with me? See, shoven lech. Ha'od li banim beme'ai vayu lachem la'anashim, do I still carry children in my womb that they will become your husbands? Shovna benotai lechna. Again, return, my daughters, go away. Interesting that here you don't have the hey at the end. So you almost could read it, Shovna benotai lachen, return for yourselves, for your own benefit. Ki zakanti miyot leish, I'm too old to remarry. Ki amarti, I would have said, yesh li tikva, I have hope. Gam hayiti alayla leish vegam yaladati banim. Let's say I marry tonight, and I will conceive tonight, and I will give children, will have children. Halahen tesaberna ad asher yigdalu, will you wait for them until they grow up? Halahen te'agena levilti hayot leish. Will you anchor yourselves to them? We assume that that's, by the way, but really, that's not anchor. Ogen is an anchor is a Greek word, but it means will you chain yourself to them, to those hypothetical children, and not marry someone else? Levilti hayot. You have to become someone's. Al benotai ki marli meod mikem ki yatzea bi yad Adonai. And well, I'm going to go back to those 5 words. First, al benotai, stop my daughters. Ki marli meod mikem. I am very bitter for you, mikem. Ki yatzea bi yad Adonai. The hand of God came out against me. Remember that she was also left out of the place. But this word, ki yatzea bi yad Adonai, is really a job, a phrase that fits Eov, right? So what is yatzea bi yad Hashem? This is, the famous, what is it? It's on the Sistine Chapel. God sends away Adam and Eve from the Garden of Eden, and you see the hand, right? This is yatzea bi yad Hashem. God singles you out among the crowd to punish you. She says, I don't know what I did to be punished like that by God. Vatisena kolan vativkena od. They raised their voice and they cried again. Vatishak orpa lehamota veRuth davka ba. And Orpa kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, and Ruth clung to her. She cleaved onto her. And now Naomi says, she looks at Orpa. Orpa already starts walking away. Vatomer hine shava yevimtech. She has returned your yevama. That is a term that is taken from the Levirate law, yavam. El amma, she returned to her nation and to her gods. Shuvi acharei yevimtech. Return in the footsteps of your yevama. And Ruth says, don't plead with me. And we'll talk about this also. Don't tell me to abandon you and to return from behind you. Okay, so let's go back to the lashuv that we had here. The way Naomi says it. Look what she says. In verse 8, she says, Shovna isha. Wait, there's more. Sorry, start from here. In verse 7, Lashuv el Eretz Yehuda. They're going back to a place. Naomi doesn't talk about places. She talks about family. Shovna isha lebet ima. You have to return to your mother's house. They insist, we will return with you to your nation. We're not going to the place called Eretz Yehuda. For us, the nation is important. Naomi responds, here, she says, Mitzena menuha isha bet isha. Go to your husband's house. So first she says, go to your mother. And then she says, okay, after you go to your mother, you're going to get remarried. So go to your husband. But after Orpa turns away, what does Naomi say? She has returned where? To her nation and to her gods. You could also, I almost hear the bitterness, either bitterness or I call it triumphant bitterness in Naomi's voice. You see, I told you. I knew that you didn't care. All she wanted to go back to her nation. You said that you want to come with me to my nation, but no, it's your nation. You go back to your nation. So this dialogue between Naomi and Ruth and Orpa is loaded. The argument between Naomi and the two daughters-in-law is the question, where do you belong? She says, you don't belong with me. You don't belong with my nation. You were married to my children. They died. The connection has been severed. That's it. You're not part of the nation. And she pushes them away. And they say, no, we want to come with you to your nation. They say, no, go to your mother. We want to come with you to your nation. Go to your husband. Orpa turns away. So you see, she went back to her nation and to her gods. Now there's another sentence that I wanted to focus on when she says, Marli me'od mikem. Marli me'od mikem. And Israel, I think that if I remember correctly, years ago when we studied the Megillot in HAR, did you take this class with me at the HAR? No? Anyway, but you remember Cecilia Hertzfeld? She was okay. So one of my students, Cecilia, is a therapist, and I asked her to take this scene and do what is called bibliotherapy. I'm sorry, bibliodrama, where we staged the scene between Naomi and Ruth and Orpah, and we started opening the dialogue the way they talk. So it's not only about belonging. When Naomi says, "Where do you belong? Do you belong with me? Do you belong with the nation?" It's also a story of grief. There's deep grief here. And who's grieving? You have three people who are grieving here: Naomi, Ruth, and Orpah. So, as an observer from the sidelines, you could ask the question: whose grief was deeper? I think that most of us would vote for Naomi, right? As the mother, she lost her husband, like they lost their husbands, and she lost also her children. It's a very deep sorrow. On the other hand, the question is, could you really quantify or qualify grief? Could you say, I'm suffering more than you? Is there even a comparison? Each one is in his own world. But I think that this is what is happening between Naomi and the two women. Because when she says, Marli me'od mikem, that could be understood in Hebrew in different ways. One is, Marli me'od mikem, I feel sorry for you. It's too painful for me to be with you. Marli me'od mikem, I can't bear to see your suffering. Now that comes from a place of Naomi as someone who cares for her daughters-in-law. The other one could be Marli me'od mikem, I'm bitter because of you. Maybe she blames them. My children married Moabite women, and look what happened to them. And that's why she turns at Orpah and says, you see, she went back to her nation. And a third explanation could be, Marli me'od mikem, I suffer more than you. What do you think, that you own that grief of my dead children? No, I own it. And I'm sure that those of you who work as chaplains, counselors, rabbis, teachers, but even as parents and friends, you will see it sometimes, that there's actually I would say a dispute. There's almost a war between family members over who's grieving more for a dear one. I definitely saw that in some of the families I counseled, between the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law of a man who passed away in his 50s. Every year it became more and more difficult to go with them to the gravesite. So there's something very powerful here. The reason I mentioned before the bibliodrama that we did, as Cecilia, who's a therapist, directed it and told the women, you are Naomi, you're Ruth, you're Orpah. There was an amazing transition where they connected to the story so much, and they were in the role that at a certain point she had to say, okay, stop. Okay, we have to call it off, because you're now, they almost didn't realize that there are people in the class. I'm teaching, and other students are there, and then they were talking as if they're alone on the therapist's couch. So it's an amazing power of the biblical narrative. In few lines, you look at this scene of Naomi, Ruth, and Orpah standing there on the road, and you realize there's a whole world of grief and tension and accusations and belonging and identity that is channeled through this moment in few verses. Let's go back to the text. Yes?
Is it also religious aspects, religious identity? Because she does say, go back to your gods.
Yes.
So that means they were worshiping the Jewish God.
Yes, but it's also a question of belonging, because you see, Ami ve'al Elohayich, right? Amech ve'shava yivimtech el Ama ve'el Eloheha. It could be that she's already in a monotheistic mentality, or it could be that it's more territorial. So a lot of people in the area, and until today, you could hear, my God versus your God, but people in the ancient Near East, definitely of that mentality of the local gods, each one controls. So your nation, your God, my nation, my God. And yes, Shai, that's what I meant. In the Hebrew, she's bitter because of them, bitter for them, etc. Okay, so we go back to the text, and we'll see what happens there. ותאמר רות, אל תפגעי בי לעוזבך לשוב מאחורייך. Don't plead with me, but also פגע, in later Hebrew means to attack, and it has a sort of a root in it. So Ruth says, don't be harsh with me, don't insist that I should abandon you, and we'll come back to this word later, לעוזבך, that Ruth was not the one who is עוזבת, she was not the one to abandon people, and she says this, כי אל אשר תלכי אלך, ובאשר תליני אלין, עמך עמי ואלוהיך אלוהי, באשר תמותי אמות ושם אקבר, כה יעשה אדוני לי וכה יוסיף, כי המוות יפריד ביני ובינך. She says, wherever you go, I will go. See, תלכי, same word of ללכת, I will go with you, ובאשר תליני אלין, wherever you sleep, I sleep. Your nation is my nation, your God is my God. Wherever you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May God punish me, so will Hashem do to me. Meaning that's a word, it's a vow. Ki hamavet yafrid beni ubenech. Only death will do us apart. It's interesting that the famous vow of marriage is taken from a promise, right? A commitment between two women here in the story. But you know that who is the subject? Who is the subject of Naomi's of Ruth's commitment? Who is the central axis that she's talking about? Wherever you go, I'll go. Wherever you sleep, I sleep. Wherever you die, I'll die, and there I'll be buried. Your nation is my nation. Your God is my God.
Naomi.
Naomi. It is, we think of Ruth as a convert, and she might as well be the first famous convert. But if she converted through Naomi. And at that point of the story, I think we should really appreciate the fact that the Megillah is called Megillat Ruth and not Megillat Naomi. And I'll tell you why. This is my theory. My theory is, okay, I'm just commenting on it. And yes, they said that Orpah was the great-grandmother of Goliath, but there's no basis for that in the text. They did it so they could stage Ruth versus Orpah, and the great-grandchildren, David versus Goliath. It's to say, but there's no basis for that. Orpah just disappears. But here's what this is my theory. My theory is that Ruth saw in Naomi, she knew her well from the very beginning. And Naomi was really that pleasant, the source of pleasantness. She was the woman who inspired others. And Ruth saw it in her. But Ruth also saw her deterioration. She saw how Naomi became depleted because of all the suffering, and she gave up on life. And Naomi decided to go back to Bethlehem to die there. And that's maybe why Ruth is so bold as to say, wherever you die, you'll die and I'll be buried there. Because maybe Naomi told her, I'm going to die anyways, I'll die with you. I'm going to go to the grave, I'm going to go with you, right? What Ruth decided to do is, I'm going to save this woman. I'm going to pull her out of her misery because she deserves it. And in order to do that, Ruth, in a way, sacrifices her identity. Because through the Megillah, Ruth tries to work behind the scenes. She's leading actions, but we'll see that she makes Naomi believe that she is the one who took the initiative. Naomi, at a certain point, thinks, okay, I orchestrated everything. Not in the sense of arrogance. She wanted Naomi to feel she is worth something, so that God is with her And she gets Naomi to do that. She gets Naomi from a point of Yatse'a biyad Adonai, Hashem has singled me out, from the point where Naomi says, Al tikrena li Naomi, krena li mara, don't call me pleasant, call me bitter, because Hashem has punished me. God had treated me with evil ways almost, to a place where Naomi says, Baruch Adonai asher lo azav hazo et ha'chayim et hamitim. Blessed is Hashem, who has never abandoned his loyalty with the living and with the dead. Who made this revolution, this paradigm shift in Naomi? It was Ruth. But she worked behind the scenes. So the Megillah could have been called Megillat Naomi, because Naomi is this woman who leaves Bethlehem, comes back to Bethlehem, and becomes the great-great-mother of David. And even when a child is born, they say, Yulad ben Naomi, a son was given to Naomi through her daughter-in-law. But throughout the ages, people realize that Ruth is the one who was working behind the scenes. So both of them, I'm not taking away from the glory of any of them. It's a symbiosis of Ruth and Naomi. It's the story of how a person who has greatness can inspire people around her. Naomi inspired Ruth, and that's why we say Vatishak orpa lachamota veRuth davka ba. Ruth, she was, the word davak in Hebrew, right? It means to cling to or to cleave to someone. But there's I think in English you call someone who's a nudnik, right? Who doesn't let go, like we call him gorilla glue. That's in Hebrew also. It's a devik, right? So now, Ruth is this stubborn. It's like she's devik with Naomi. She's not letting go because she wants Naomi, your nation, your God, your place. Wherever you die, I'll be with you, right? And I think Naomi is a bit annoyed. I'll tell you why. I think she's annoyed. Look what happens. And when Naomi realized that Ruth is really striving and struggling to go with her, she doesn't talk to her again. That's it. It's a long way from Moab to Bethlehem, a couple of days at least, and she doesn't talk to her.
She doesn't, Rabbi, she doesn't talk to her at all, or she doesn't talk to her about going back.
So I don't know. That's the beauty of the biblical narrative. You could read you could say ותחדל לדבר אליה בדבר הזה. Right? You should have said about this, but it says no. It says ותחדל לדבר אליה. She doesn't talk to her anymore. So even if she did, they might have said, okay, let's stop here, let's eat here, but it's all very very technical. There are no in-depth conversations between them. So in other words, the midrashic description of Naomi saying, it's hard to be a Jew. You can walk without an eruv. She said, I walk wherever you walk. You can sleep with your it's not there. Naomi didn't talk much. Naomi just tried to push her away. Just go, leave me alone. And Ruth insists on going with her, and Naomi is upset. Do you know what kind of annoyance this is? I think that my interpretation. Feel free to fill in from your experience or disagree with me. Feel this is kind of someone who is so immersed in her misery. She feels self-pity, and then she deserves it. She went through horrible things, and she says, I don't want to hear from anyone. Don't talk to me. Don't be with me. You are a reminder of my past. I don't want you. Why are you insisting? I don't want you as a friend. She's trying to, other people say, okay, you know what? How much can I work for? How much can I try to make you see that I love you? And he says, okay, goodbye. I'm going to go. And the moment she goes, that's Orpah, who says, you see? Naomi says, you see, I told you. She doesn't really care. She went back to her nation and to her God, you see? And she waits to do that to Ruth also, but it doesn't work. Ruth is Devik. She's there. She, now, the author of the Megillah rewards Naomi for that. she gets a reward for being a devik, for being the glue. Where does the reward come? Later on, when Boaz starts talking to her and he sees who she is, he says, please, I want you to cling to be a devek with my maid servants. Stay with me, stay in my field. But that is not almost, this obviously the author mirrors that. He say she showed loyalty to her mother-in-law and she clung to her despite all difficulties. She's rewarded by Boaz telling her, you cling with me, I'm going to take care of you. So, but anyway, let's conclude this chapter and see what happens as they walk on the path, right? Remember, we said we have lech and shov, and there's much more. And I wrote a commentary on that is built like Rashi. And you know what? I'll put it later in the chat when we finish the class. You could email me, if you're not signed up for the bulletin, I'll send it to you, where it's detailed with the psukim and references and everything. But I want to go. This is a different way to present it. With more, we can see more of the story than just a written commentary. Vatelachna shtehem ad boana betlahem. So they both walk. Vatelachna, right? Vatelachna ad boana Bethlehem, until they came to Bethlehem. Vayike boana Bethlehem, and as they came into Bethlehem, vatehom kol ha'ir alehen. The city is abuzz. Everybody's around them. Vatomarna, tomarna is feminine. It's the women who know Naomi. What do they say? Hazot Naomi. Hazot Naomi. Is this Naomi? They're all in shock. She looks different. She lost. She aged 10 years, 20 years. Who knows how long? I mean, she spent 10 years in Moab, but now she looks 30 years older. So she lost her husband and her 2 children. But what about Ruth? Nobody says, who's this girl with you? They don't count her. Hazot Naomi, because Ruth didn't really come back to Bethlehem, like we see in verse 22. Vatashov Naomi, and Naomi returned. Veruta Moavia Kalata with Ruth, this dangling participant, right? That comes with her. Hashava Misde Moab. Who is she who returns to Moab? Naomi. Vehem abau Bethlehem, and they came to Bethlehem. So here's the contradiction between they did come in terms of physical movement, they walked together, they came into Bethlehem. But in terms of a conceptual return, Lashuv, so only Naomi who came back. Ruth did not come back. But wait.
I think if you look at it also, when she stopped talking to her, it might have been that she just stopped trying to convince her. It was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, it's a whatever,
So I see of her like trailing behind Naomi a little bit.
Yes. Which, by the way, it's a common motif in stories, in legends, in movies. You see the sidekick, trailing behind, or the one that is not really needed there, but then turns to be the hero of the story. But look at this pasuk. We're not done yet with that. Vatomer alehen. I want to look at this pasuk in 20 and 21. First, she says this. When they say Hazot Naomi, and this Naomi, she says, Vatomer alehen. Al tikrena li Naomi. Don't call me Naomi. Krena li Mara. Why? Ki hemar Shaddai li meod. God she calls him Shaddai. He made my life extremely bitter. Too bitter. Or in other words, unfair. What God did to me was unfair. Now, these 6 words are very powerful in Hebrew. Ani melea halachti verekam heshivani Adonai. So first of all, we have the 2 key words of the chapter. Halach veshav. I walked, I returned. But no, I didn't return. Look what it says. Halachti, I walked away. Heshivani, he returned me. So halachti is active. I did it. It was my decision. Heshivani is reactive, passive. He made me come back. Who is he? Adonai. Who is me? Went Ani. Ani versus Hashem. Halachti versus Heshivani. Mele'ah, full, versus Rekam, empty. 6 words. Extremely powerful. You know that you could tell a story in 6 words. Wired magazine. I like reading Wired magazine. They started about a year ago a contest with writing a story with 6 words. It's very interesting. They have a competition. People submit entries, and it's amazing. And I think NPR also did that. With telling a story in 6 words. And the Tanakh does that, just like we saw in Iyov, Li'ish kamocha tzidkecha ulben adam rishatecha. 6 words. Your righteousness go to a person like you. Your evil to a person like you. Here also, Mele'ah halachti rekam eshivani Adonai. Her whole life story. Me versus Hashem. Empty versus full versus empty. To go by myself, to be dragged back, to be returned. Right. So this is the story of the first chapter, and it ends with Vehema ba'u Bethlehem b'tchilat k'tzir sorim. So now they come to Bethlehem, and that's their place. So we just started a little bit of the second chapter, and we continue on Sunday, B'ezrat Hashem. I want to finish it before Shavuot.
She doesn't accept any responsibility for what happened to her.
Who?
Ruth, Naomi is not accepting any responsibility for what happened to her. It's almost like she's blaming God, but she's not seeing that, she also left with her family, and she allowed her children to marry out.
So we could argue that, but on the other hand, you could argue that in that time, in that society, she didn't have much of a say. And when you see, Vayelech ish mi Bethlehem Yudah, he went, hu ve'ishto, he took his wife with him. She is the one who initiated the return, so she is active, but she couldn't have been active in the act of leaving. So maybe, I don't know. One second.
Right, but she has a strong.
What?
She's got a pretty strong character. She fights with Ruth. She's
Yeah,
not passive.
she's a strong woman. She's a strong woman, intelligent woman, and when she says "Ani mele'ah halachti," she knows who she was. I think that is the statement of that chapter is Naomi tells you here when we say "Ani mele'ah halachti v'rekam eshivani," the depth of her misery. That I think when each and every one of us, when we feel grief, we feel like something was taken away from us and emptied. My father passed away a couple of months ago. I was in Israel. I was able to see him. He was 88. He lived a full life. He didn't suffer. I came back here. People came, and I thought I was sort of like dealing with it. And then after the Shiva was over for about a week, I was depleted completely. I felt this rekam. It's like you try to do something and your brain is empty. But with Naomi, that feeling is lingering and staying for longer. So I want to end and then go to a question. I see that Yoshua had a question. I want to end with this. The second chapter starts with a statement. Naomi had a relative called Boaz. And Ruth tells Naomi, I'm going to go to the fields and see if I find grace in someone's eyes. And she happens to come to Boaz's field. So I want to look into that and see what exactly happened there. Did she stumble upon the field? Was she looking for the field? Why is the author of the Megillah why does he tell us at the beginning of the chapter that this man lived there? So we'll stop here and we'll continue B'ezrat Hashem on Sunday. And